What's up, guys? Welcome back to In the Kitchen with Brooks Wellness. Today we're going to be making one of my favorite dishes, which is jerk chicken. I absolutely love it. One of the things that we talk about on Brooks Wellness, and this is pretty much just in the health field in general, is keeping the ingredients and the foods that you make down to a minimum. Processed food, it's just made of things that our bodies aren't used to. They're not natural because a lot of those ingredients are made in a factory. So what we want to do is keep our ingredients down to a minimum. So what we're going to be using for our jerk chicken is this jerk seasoning is absolutely wonderful. So I'm going to go ahead and give a shout out to Walker's Wood. It's just great. Now this is hot and spicy. I've got to tell you, unless you really like hot and spicy food, you probably don't want to use hot and spicy. There's also a mild version of it. My son's down in New York City and he sent me a picture of some jerk chicken he was eating down there. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to make jerk chicken today. So what we're going to do is use the hot and spicy because that's really what's up. So I got to tell you, that's the first thing. Now, I'm going to read the ingredients label. It's scallions, hot pepper, salt, black pepper, pimento, nutmeg, citric acid, brown sugar, thyme, leaves. That's it, folks. And so that's really what we want to do, is just keep the ingredients real simple. And so that's the first part. That's the concoction. That's what we're putting in our jerk chicken. The other things we're going to add are very simple. We're going to have 2 onions. We're also going to make coconut rice with beans. And so I like to have onions in there. So we're going to have 2 onions, one for the jerk chicken, one for the coconut rice and beans. We're going to have 1 head of garlic, have a lime, coconut milk, of course. We're going to have red beans. We're going to add some honey in at the end. It just takes a little bit off of the spiciness to have some honey in there. I think it makes it very flavorful. I have to tell you, I always use chicken thighs for jerk chicken because they're just more flavorful than chicken breast. And it's really not so much about the calories that we're taking in as opposed to what we're taking in. You know, chicken is not eating a bowl of ice cream. Yeah, we could get nitpicky with what we're doing with our chicken or the type of chicken we use. Like perhaps we want to use chicken breast, but chicken breast tends to be drier and it's just harder to put into a broth. So we're going to use chicken thighs. We're going to remove the skin and let you know how I do it. This is how I do it. This is something that I've made for years, so I really love jerk chicken. So let's get started. First, I'm going to take the chicken. I'm going to sear it in the pan a little bit, but I'm going to take the skin and the excess fat off. So here we go. So you can see I have my cutting mat here, and I have one that's red and one that's green. That's probably a good idea if you're cutting up meat. We're going to go ahead and take these thighs out of their package and start to cut them up on the cutting mat. All right, so let's wash our hands. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we are gonna go ahead and salt and pepper the chicken. Nope. There we go. All right, sorry about that. All right, so now we're gonna stir everything up in here. And while we're doing this, we can go ahead and turn on the heat. I'm going to put the heat at high because I want to sear the chicken first. And once we start actually stewing the chicken, we're going to turn the heat down. While we're stewing the chicken, what we're going to do is we're going to cut up the onions and the garlic. You know what? I'm just going to add a little bit of garlic powder in here. Just add some garlic powder because it's good. Stir it in there. Come on, garlic, olive oil. I use olive oil when I'm searing my food. Olive oil has a very low smoke threshold, so it starts to smoke at a very low temperature. And this gets me in trouble with my wife because I smoke up the house because I like to put the stove on high when I'm searing things, or if I'm just sweating vegetables or sauteing vegetables. It doesn't matter. It starts off on high because I just like for things to sizzle. So, yeah, that's the problem with using olive oil. But why switch through a bunch of oils? Just be careful with what you're doing with the temperature. Oh, that I'm about to add some olive oil in there. There's fat still on the chicken, and once that starts to render a little bit, it's gonna create more oil. So I didn't add a tremendous amount. Then you could just take these things in there and just drop them in there. Unless the oil's really hot and then you don't want to drop them in there, you want to place them in there. In fact, I'll do that because why be a baddie? So I'm just gonna place these in there and let them sear a little bit. You don't have to put the bones in there either because I don't know if you guys can even see this. Oh, that might be better. There we go. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that. You want that char to be on, it's not char, but you want the brown bits down on the bottom to be still on the bottom because that's where flavor comes from, and that's going to be the base of our stock there. So we'll flip these over and let them sit on the other side for a little bit. So while I'm waiting for that to brown just a little bit more, I'm going to clean off my samurai sword and I'm going to start cutting up my vegetables. I'm going to take this chicken out. Oh wow, look at that. You see, that's flavor right there. Look at that. I don't even know if you guys can see that. Oh, it's wonderful. And we can turn the temperature down now because, well, I can see it's burning a little bit. And we'll sit it on the back burner just for a second until the temperature drops a bit, then we can put it back on there, but obviously the onions are okay in there. With the onions, you want to go ahead and put some salt on them. And we are going to go ahead and add in, say, 3 tablespoons. About that much. Because this stuff is powerful. So you don't want to add in too much, but you might have to add in a little bit more. And basically you want to just cover the chicken with the water. Because at some point you're going to have to reduce all this anyway, so don't add in too much water, just until the chicken is just underneath the water. Now we can start to work on the rice and the coconut rice here. Alright, so I've said this before, I'll show you how I make rice. It usually comes out right. So why change that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make 2 cups of rice. Take jasmine rice because it tastes better. I'm going to make 2 cups because I'm thinking there's going to be leftovers. And it doesn't have to be exact because actually. So you're going to take the beans. You are going to pour out the excess liquid, put it inside of the rice. The water's boiling, so we're gonna go ahead and drop the temperature down a little bit below medium heat. So go ahead and stir that in. Now you're gonna have to add water to this because I'll tell you what, if you don't, this stuff burns to the bottom of the pan real quick. So So I just add water, but I'm gonna put the onions in there. As soon as it starts boiling, I have to listen for this. As soon as it starts boiling, you've got to drop that temperature. In fact, you might want to just pull it off the burner altogether because you just don't want it to burn. And with that coconut milk in there, there's a possibility of that happening. So you definitely want to be careful with doing that. So we're going to go ahead and let that happen. The pot with the water, with the chicken in it, the stock in it, is already boiling. I'll give you a look at that. And there you go. So that's pretty much what it's gonna look like. We're gonna definitely simmer that down. You can take the top off of it, in fact, and we'll just let that simmer down now that it reached a boiling point. And we'll let it simmer for a while. I mean, it's 3:46 right now. It's definitely gonna simmer until at least like 5 o'clock, and so that's just the way it works. And then we'll add in the honey. I mean, we'll taste it and see what it tastes like, but we're definitely gonna put honey in it because I used a really hot and spicy. The food's been simmering for about a half an hour. Well, the rice hasn't been simmering for half an hour. It's actually off right now. But let's take a look at what the food looks like. It's done, and I love how the rice looks right now because it's a little bit sticky, but it also has like a dry aspect to it, and that's really what you want. I'm gonna mix these together and I'll serve it like that. So you let it simmer like this for a while, you'll see that the chicken becomes very, very tender, like that. This is pretty good. See how it just pulls apart so easily. And so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a pretty good amount of honey in here. I'm gonna kick this temperature up a little bit just so that it can boil off a little bit more of this fluid. So here's the thing. It's really easy to go to the store and buy fresh fruits and vegetables, and that's great, and of course that's what we want to do. But we can't discount this. Frozen fruits and vegetables are great, you know, when you steam them. So I'm going to throw these in the microwave and let them heat up. But I won't do that right now because I want to wait until a little bit more of that water boils out. So I'll give it like 10 minutes and then I'll throw them in the microwave. Yeah, it's time to clean up. Boo-hoo. The final product, just delicious. Thanks so much for joining me, folks. I hope that you appreciated the meal. I'm about to go appreciate it right now. It's been a pleasure taking time out of my afternoon to spend with you guys, and I hope that it's been equally enjoyable for you. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.